Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and other, to FableTop, your one-stop shop for all your D&D podcast needs. My name's Diddy.
My name's Bonehead.
And today we're going to be talking about adventure hooks.
Yeah, there was a little bit of confusion earlier on when you first messaged me, because I had literally just woke up and I didn't understand what you meant by adventuring hooks.
Yeah. You assumed I was talking about hooks that were going on an adventure.
Yeah, I just imagined like a fishing line, just like picking up a sword and just it wasn't my best moment.
Under the water bug bits.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but then like it clicked pretty quickly after I said it. So,
yeah.
But
so we all know the meme of, oh, you meet in a tavern.
the bane of our existence.
Yeah. It's the Love Island of adventure hooks, I think.
I mean,
so you just hear a mention of it and you just go, oh no.
I mean, I can't say I've watched Love Island, but I've definitely had tavern starts, but I know the feeling.
So, I don't get why it's such a meme at this point. Why anyone would start off an adventure like that?
I suppose it's like it's safe. It's, you know, like, oh, everyone does it, so everyone's familiar with it. So it's kind of like doing the Macarena or the Cha-Cha slide. Like, everyone knows it. Like, you might listen to it casually on your own, but when people start dancing, you're going to join in.
I don't understand the whole realisticness of it. Like, it just seems to be not very realistic at all.
I suppose maybe like the first few times it was ever done, it's kind of like, yeah, it makes sense. You know, like strangers, like people, you get drunk with strangers and you might walk out with a friend. But the amount of adventuring parties that start in a tavern gets to a point where it becomes more like a job centre than a pub.
Yeah. Like, I don't think it's very realistic. Like, oh, you go into a pub, you start having a few drinks. Like a Goliath he sits next to you and starts sharing with you, and then along comes an Aarakocra, and then an elf, and they start drinking. Then suddenly some guy bursts in and says, "You four, I'm going to give you a job." What? No.
Yeah, it is amazing to me that every tavern always has one empty table bang in the middle of the room, or they always have one mysterious figure in the corner.
Oh, yeah.
And
mysterious. I forgot about mysterious figures.
What's his name from Lord of the Rings? Aragorn.
Aragorn.
Every tavern has an Aragorn.
Yeah. Like, I find, like, especially with if you've run the Aquisitions Incorporated module, it would be easier for adventure hooks, because what I did for some other groups after we'd run the Acquisitions Incorporated module is basically, you receive a letter from Omin Dran. He is tasking you to do this because you are employees / franchise owners in his company.
I mean, I think Acquisitions Incorporated would probably be the only time I would excuse a tavern start, because a lot of the C-Team content and some of their actual adventures start in a tavern they own called the Yawning Portal, which they operate out of after they lose their Waterdeep office.
Yeah.
So then I can kind of understand it, but...
Wait, hang on. When did they lose their Waterdeep office?
I don't remember the specifics. I want to say it's after when Jeff the intern let Dran Enterprises in.
Does it get blown up?
No, it doesn't get blown up.
I was going to say, that was part of a thing I wrote, and I didn't know that.
No, I think so. They had a receptionist on the desk called Jeff, and Jeff let Dran Enterprises in to the point where it was basically a hostile takeover, if I'm remembering this right. And essentially Auspicia had kicked Omen out and taken over their headquarters.
Right.
Which is why they were working out of a booth in the Yawning Portal. Also, you might hear my cat because she's managed to get in here with me.
Yeah, I think my neighbour's doing some hammering too, so...
So... I mean, okay, so... One thing I was going to mention as well is obviously Mines of Phandelver. That doesn't have a tavern start.
No. It just...
That one...
You just open with it, and like you have been hired, you are on the cart. This is the start of the story.
It's not too dissimilar from something I wrote. So before I got like the starter kit and all of that, I tried homebrew in the purest of ways by opening up a D&D wiki and then writing a cold open, and very quickly realised my 4 people... Okay, so my setup was a little bit different, where 2 of them were guards, one of them was a passenger on this caravan, and one of them was actually a merchant who was trading.
Right.
And then they got attacked by cultists. Not dragon cultists, I think they were just like normal... Like, these were the weird guys. They looked like Darth Maul. They like cut themselves and all this weird shit. But I quickly realised it was quite similar to Mines of Phandelver.
Okay.
So I was like, no, I'm gonna get like done for plagiarism, scrap it. But what would you say would be, like, off the top of your head, what would you consider to be a interesting hook to get the adventurers involved?
I found on a random, just a random campaign generator, that one of the players has lost their memory.
Yeah.
And something has happened, and that's why you need to go on the adventure to like regain their memory. I thought that was kind of weird and interesting for a roleplay aspect as well.
Yeah, I don't remember where I've seen it, but I have seen at least some suggestion that like that happens to the party. Like they start at level 1 with no memory, and then as they progress and level up, they start remembering like skills they have.
Right.
And then slowly over the course of the campaign, their class is revealed, like their skill sets are revealed. But it's one of those things where you have to put a lot of trust and faith into your DM that they would understand the kind of character you would like to play.
Yeah.
And that they can guess your personality well enough that you're gonna play that character the way he's probably expects you to play. But it's an interesting enough concept that I'd like to either do it myself one day or be a part of a campaign with that kind of start.
Yeah.
Just something a little bit different.
I'm not a massive fan of, for starters, the tavern. You all meet in a tavern, and just cold opens in general. I feel it is kind of forced.
Yeah.
Like if you say, oh, you've received a letter from a dear friend, and they've got this problem, and they're asking if you can come down and help them sort it out. That kind of gives the players a bit more leeway. For example, like how they get there for starters.
Yeah.
We're running Horde of the Dragon Queen at the moment. The first episode is in the town of Greenest. And you guys just decided to buy a battle balloon and fly there. I'm like, oh, God.
The battle balloon was a surprise to me because I think I either missed a session beforehand or left early. But when I came back, it's like, oh, by the way, we now have an airship.
Yes, because they rolled really well on there. Because they're the lords of a town, and I have this spreadsheet on taxes and how much taxes they get depending on how they roll. So they managed to make enough money to buy the battle balloon from the Aquisitions Incorporated book.
Like, thinking about it as well with what you just said about like explaining how they got to the town and whatnot, that's kind of similar, and I'm gonna shine my own shoes a little bit with this. I don't even think that's a saying, but I'm gonna roll with it. in the beginning of the Acromore campaign when everyone was introduced. More specifically for when Turnip and Isaac were playing. I had this like it wasn't a cold open, but it explained how Isaac had been travelling for days. He'd made his way into the town, and he was just casually browsing the marketplace. Turnip was in a tavern, but he was just chilling out. Like he wasn't. They received letters from a guy called Davith, and they ultimately first met up about an hour later outside of where they were meant to meet this guy.
Yeah.
So there was a tavern, but they didn't meet in it. So I didn't manage. Like I was sitting here panicking because I'm thinking, oh fuck, there was a tavern in my opening. I'm sitting here complaining about it, but I'm giving myself some leeway here. There was a tavern, but no one met in it.
I think it's a good idea to have the party start somewhere familiar. Like, you guys almost always start a new campaign in Phandalin in your manor, and you've received a letter, because when we did Aquisitions Incorporated, you were in the manor just chilling, and then you received some letter, I think.
Was this after we blew up Acquisitions headquarters?
No, that's before.
Was this
start? Oh no, that was a cold open. I remember, because I just said, "Oh, you received a letter from Omin Dran telling you to come to Waterdeep to talk to him about franchise opportunities."
And then is that when? No, see, I'm losing myself because I'm thinking of when we went to him initially for the boat, and ended up going to.
That was yo-ho, I'm a bit seasick.
Yeah, so I'm getting my wires crossed, but
yeah.
Horde of the Dragon Queen, from what I remember, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this because you know better than I do, I'm fairly sure we received a letter from Omin post-explosion that said that, oh, I've been looking into a cult, and if anything happens to me, this is to be sent to you to go and investigate.
Yeah, it was basically Omin Dran was investigating this dragon cult, but then when you inadvertently caused his death...
when Varud inadvertently caused
his death, he instructed the lawyers to give all of this stuff to you because he knew that you guys would be able to take care of it.
Yeah, I mean, our relationship with Omin Dran was very weird, to say the least. Like, in-game, we'd only known him a handful of months at this point, but it very much felt like, the best way to summarize, compare, I'd say, is very much like Fox Mulder and Walter Skinner.
Yeah.
There was clashes, but there was an understanding, and Omin knew
you could get the job done.
Yeah, exactly. Also, side tangent, I was very happy to see Walter return in Season 10 of X-Files.
Right.
And he looks sick. Like, shaved head, white beard, muscular as fuck. Dude he's just a fucking lad. Like... Anyway.
Yeah, so... Lost Mine of Phandelver was a cold open. Then Aquisitions Incorporated kind of was as well. Because that's what it is in the book.
Yeah.
And then for Yo-Ho, I'm a bit seasick, it wasn't a cold open. You got visited by Sildar Hallwinter.
Who told us about Lelorn, the fishing village that was...
Yeah.
Leylon, sorry, that was under attack.
Because he was passing through Leylon because he was going from Waterdeep to Neverwinter. And obviously that road passes near Leylon. And the mayor asked him to bring a letter to you. So that wasn't the cold open. And then we just started Horde of the Dragon Queen, which also wasn't really a cold open because you got sent all of this stuff by Omin Dran.
Yeah, it's not like we were immediately in Greenest.
Yeah.
We were chilling in Tresenda. And yeah, then all of this shit came through, like Omin's X-Files came through on this fucking cult, and See, I've only written this one campaign, Acromore, and my hook... So, just for a little bit of clarification for the viewers, Turnip and Isaac, who are played by Lee and Zenfire, had their own open, and then the week after that, when Horatio and Gareth started, they had a completely separate open, because I didn't want to give them the same introduction, because then it doesn't make sense. And the hook was effectively the same, that you'd been contacted by this guy called Davith, except Isaac and Turnip got to meet him in a park behind a waterfall, and you met him in the sewers underneath a town built in the body of Iron Colossus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, those two are very similar, so I didn't write two separate hooks. I suppose when we moved over into what I'm calling the Bay Gulch arc, your hook was that you were tasked by the king to go and check this place out, but I think the driving force then was when you were attacked by the werewolves and you're like, well, this shit's fucked, we should...
Yeah.
Admittedly, I don't have much experience writing hooks. I have ideas, but then it's obviously not something I'm going to want to talk about here.
Because that's a good point, because the two... technically 5 starts, because I did that one shot with Zenfire, which was a cold open, which he was just walking along a path.
We did Twinkle Town as well, don't forget.
Oh god, yeah, that wasn't a cold open, because Sildar Hallwinter invited you to
his summer house.
Sildar Hallwinter invited you to the house for the, was it winter or summer festivities? I can't
Summer.
Summer festivities.
Yep. Yeah, because that's when, we, as we've mentioned before, we walked into this town that was basically just like a fucking franchising nightmare.
Yeah. Weatherspoons, Starbucks.
Little Chefs, even though they're closed, but for some reason they still got one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like thinking about it, and I'm not saying this like in a mocking way, but we've had a lot of openings where we receive a letter.
It's an easy thing to do. It's like, it's a bit like you being in a tavern, some guy approaches you and says, I've got a job for you, but this seems a bit more realistic.
Yeah, and I suppose we don't...
And it says, oh yeah, I know you guys are great adventurers, can you please do this thing, blah blah blah, love, lots of love, so the whole winter.
And it's not always that either. It's not like every letter we've had has had some like minor exposition, like you said, some of them have been invitations, or some of them have been requests for meetings, then we get the information. So it's not... It's not always like a previously on kind of thing.
Yeah.
Have you seen any hooks, like either on online sessions or through Reddit, that you just look at and you think, what the fuck is this? This is a mess. That's just so dumb.
I did. It was this morning, but it's completely slipped my memory. Like, it's just ones where you do just wake up in like a cell or in a dungeon with just no memory of what happened before.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's a bit forced.
I mean, like we mentioned earlier, if there was like memory loss and you didn't know your class or your skills, that would make sense.
Yeah.
But these guys wake up not knowing how they got in the cell of their name, but they remember how to pick locks, they remember how to like ninja, shoot magic. So yeah, those are...
Oh, that was it. It was basically just the Jumanji where they oh yeah, you're just normal people, you're coming to play a game of D&D, and then oh no, you get sucked into the board, and then like, here's your characters, you're a ranger, you're a rogue, you're a fighter. I'm like, really? If I got sucked into a D&D game, I would have no clue what to do. I wouldn't instantly become a rogue or instantly become a fighter, would I?
The funny thing is, this is something we've mentioned previously before. I think it was in like episode 2 maybe, where I had said that I would love to play a game where it is literally just a self-insert.
Yeah, it would be interesting to kind of try and create your ideal self in D&D, but to be like it was in Jumanji, where they got taken into the game and then they were just completely different people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, none of that body swap shit. Like, I haven't seen the newer Jumanji movies, but I think I'm right in saying, isn't there like a teenage girl who then gets put in the body of Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
I think it was Jack Black. I think it was the nerd boy became The Rock, and then the popular girl became Jack Black.
In that situation, I think I'd probably prefer to be Jack Black.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, Dwayne's very charismatic, handsome, tall, muscular.
Jack Black is Jack Black.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, who wouldn't want to live a day in the life of Jack Black?
Yeah.
One idea that I toyed with, starting up like a new campaign or a one-shot, was the party starts off dead. Like, the opening is recounting the final battle before they fell.
Yes, that reminds me of Pillars of Eternity 2.
Yeah, when you the intro is you're in like the other world or something after. I didn't play the first game, and admittedly I didn't even get off the beach in Pillars of Eternity 2. I mostly dicked around because like Critical Role does voices in it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, sort of like that, where you're now in like the afterlife. The level 1 started makes sense because this is a new world to you. You're in a weakened state from losing your battle and all that shit. And the hook of that quest would be essentially at first something like just reclaiming your bodies and going back to the material world, eventually opening up to like a larger scheme of things where ultimately the characters have to decide if they're going to stay and forever seal away this evil, or if they're going to take their bodies back and, I don't know, wait a couple hundred years for the possibility of the big evil coming back.
Yeah. It's an interesting idea where you could like come up with a backstory for the former life.
Yeah.
And then you talk about that with the DM, and then the DM could integrate some kind of redemption arc in your new life.
Yeah, because one other thing I was thinking as well is like, depending on what characters said in their backstory, that would affect potentially what, not like punishment, but like your past life would reflect a positive or a negative in your afterlife. So if you were like a mass murderer, that would have negative connotations. But if you were like a lawful good paladin who like did nothing but serve his god and all that, then you would have more positive experiences. But those are very nuanced things, and that would take a lot more effort than I'm willing to put in at the moment.
Yeah.
Trying to think if I've... Like, in my head, I'm trying to recount other hooks from, like, online series I've seen. I'm not gonna lie. So... I mentioned in previous episodes about Team 4-Star at the Table. Their opening kind of is tavern-esque. They started on a boat. They were passengers on the boat, didn't know each other, and then fate comes together.
Yeah.
So it's basically the tavern opening, but on water. Critical Role Campaign 1... I'm not 100% sure how they meet up and what their hook on that is, because Campaign 1 starts at level 5 for them. Campaign 2 has a fucking tavern start, which makes me laugh, because everyone's like, oh, Matt Mercer, like, voice actor, world building, super D&D genius, like, knows the fucking player's handbook and the Dungeon Master Guide like the Bible. And then he has all of his fucking characters in Campaign 2 meet in a tavern. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember fuck all about Oxventure.
There is a lot of cold opens, I think.
Yeah.
especially the it's not called Wild Wild West, but it is basically just Wild Wild West.
What, the Will Smith movie?
Yes, like they're on like some picnic somewhere, and then all of a sudden there's like logging going on, and there's some goblins involved, and then there's this giant mechanical spider thing.
I thought you was going to say they're eating their like egg salad sandwich, and some random guy with a weird collar runs past, and then a few seconds later you just see a buzzsaw. That's a little bit odd. God, what a weird
no need
movie.
to investigate there.
Yeah, just let him do what his fate seems pretty sealed to me. I don't think there's any way we can.
Yeah.
Acquisitions Incorporated. I genuinely don't, because I say I've watched all of them. I've watched all of their PAX East, PAX West live streams, but they originally started, I want to say in like 2015, and they had Will Wheaton as one of their main players.
Right.
But I haven't even seen episode 1 of that. I genuinely don't know how they came together, if Acquisitions Incorporated was already a franchise at this point, like if they owned buildings and property. Which I feel like I've let myself down on a little bit. But I don't like watching episodes that don't have Viari in, because Viari is the best character. And I think he'd probably be your favourite as well, even against Omindran, because he is a bard. He is very seductive. I think one of my favourite moments is they're in a time machine hurtling, I want to say backwards or forwards, I want to say backwards through time. And there's this 500-year-old gnome monk called Rosie Beestinger. And in these last moments, he goes, look, we don't know if we're going to survive this. Like, we could crash and die. Do you want to fuck? She's just like, yeah, go on. So they just, like, fuck on the floor of this time machine, hurtling through time-space. And it's just so great. It really is.
I think cold openings, they're good for saving time.
Yeah.
Especially like if you are on a time constraint, then definitely just start off. You're having a picnic in a field. This shit happens. Go fight it. But I think for more freedom, you need to go with like, or you receive a letter, or someone drops by and says, "Can you help with this?" Because then, like I said, it gives you the option to either just walk there, or go by horse, or get on the battle plan.
If I may argue a point, I would say, well, no, I think I'd give a little bit of leeway. I think cold opens are okay if it's with like a campaign that already has established players and characters against like maybe like a brand new campaign with people who don't know each other. Ooh, voice break there. So like if, for example, Diego, Zenfire, Enril and Varud were just having a picnic one day, and all of a sudden the big bad guy drops in, he goes, "Oh, I'm going to take over the world," and then like poofs out. That would be fine. But if we were like new characters that we didn't know, like escorting a caravan, and then like a fucking Lich King comes out and goes, "Yeah, take over the world," and then poofs out, we're all going to be like, what the fuck fever dream was that? And then just go about our lives.
Yeah.
Like, cold opens do not a good hook make.
No. You do need. You do need a warm open.
Yeah.
For when you're establishing new characters.
You need a foundation. You need like that exposition, that world building.
Which, come to think of it, you didn't have, because you all met in a cold open. Just you have been hired by Gundren Rockseeker and Sildar Hallwinter to escort this wagon to Phandalin. There you go. Introduce yourselves.
Yeah, but I mean, I would defend that. Like, we were travelling, so, like, obviously we would have to have gone through, like, an interview process, and But as soon as we clocked on something wasn't right, you know, like, we introduced ourselves, described ourselves, but then instantly our personalities came out. We knew who each other was, personality-wise. So even though it was a cold open, I'd say it was more of like a tepid open, or like a lukewarm.
I think it might have been a bit more interesting if, say, you were in like the interview process together, like you were all like in a line, and Gundren Rockseeker's just like going down the line asking you about your personality and your qualifications, because then obviously everyone else would be hearing that, and it would make more sense as to why you're just listing off all of these personal traits you have.
I've got this image of us just like sitting in an office, like just shoulder to shoulder in like chairs, and like Silver walks out and he goes like, "You're the shortlist. You're the 4 we've whittled it down to. We do have 4 positions available, but there's no guarantee it will be you 4. So, you know, tell me why you need the job."
Yeah.
You're just all sitting there in like business suits, sweating and twiddling our thumbs, like, "Oh fuck, I really need this." Well, everyone except Diego.
I've always had such admiration for your company and the work you do.
It's like, have you seen that meme where it's like, "Oh, tell us why you want to work here." "Oh, I've always had such a deep passion for yogurt." "The fuck do you think? I need money."
Why do you want to work here? Because I want to buy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think adventuring in D&D is one of those times where you could be like, "I am actually very passionate about this," and you mean it.
Yeah.
Because you're essentially turning a hobby into a job at that point. But, like, our first session, Minds of Phandelver in general, isn't the worst type of opening, I think. I've had a very, very abrupt tavern start before, where it was a combination of you wake up in a cell with no memory, you meet in a tavern. Oh, by the way, this tavern's in an extra dimensional, like, pocket. The DM gave no backstory. He just says, "Oh, you all wake up in a tavern. You've all got a drink in your hand. You feel like maybe you just drank and passed out, but you don't remember your name. You don't remember anything." And then I don't think we were meant to get any information in that scenario. I think he wanted to leave it vague. But as we've discussed before, Charm Person can do amazing things.
It can.
So Charm Person, the bartender, find out the place is being ran by an elder god called fucking Shugnagorath. Like one of the Cthulhu elder gods.
Right.
Then cast a spell magic on the fucking door that was meant to lead us into one of the 9 planes of hell, stepped out into the material plane, and the DM rage quit. Yeah, that game lasted 45 minutes.
No, I would leave at that point. If you had a door that was a portal, and then they're like, "No, dispel magic, because I think this is a trap."
The thing as well,
Christ.
it was a level 8 start, so I could cast Dispel Magic at 4th level, sorry. And I'm guessing at this point, because I didn't need to make a roll for it, that portal was made with some level 4 magic. Because what was meant to happen, as we saw a NPC do, walks out the door and then is teleported back to his table, passed out. I'm like, fuck that, Dispel Magic level 4. He goes, yeah, the door sparkles, and when you open it, you can see outside. I'm like, fuck, right, I'm out, bye. That's probably one of my highlights of the bad one-shots I've had. It was...
Like, I knew you guys, when I had you guys in the cell on, Callista, and like there was that just magical barrier. I assumed like one of you might have Dispel Magic, so I was just like, yeah, no, it's a really good. it's like a top notch. Nothing can beat this name brand.
I'm not aware if Diego has Dispel Magic or the ability to. I know from the spells I've got, I don't have it on right now.
I was more worried about Gareth the Druid.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was going to be something as simple as like, because at this point, 2 of us have like spells, like Enril and Diego, and I was just going to Misty Step through, but then I was like, no, he's probably well aware of that. Like, I'm not getting through this. And then Varud threw his own poo, bounced off the barrier.
Yeah.
Fucking caked himself in his own shit.
And on the shit joke, I think that's time to end. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. If you've got any topics you'd like us to talk about, please leave them in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe because it really helps the channel. So, I've been Diddy.
And I've been Bonehead.
And thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Bye!